Welcome back to another Glory Reds podcast episode. You're joining the studio with myself, D, and my co-host, Benito. What's up, Ben? What's happening?
What's good, D man? How are you, man?
I'm alright, man. I'm alright. How are things on your end, my guy?
Nah, man, I'm good. Just United stress, the heart
Yeah,
disease
yeah.
that I've been talking about. The heart disease, uncertainties, things are just happening, and man, you know what? You know what it is. We are here to bring the news, man.
Yeah, we're here to bring the news. So obviously, there's been a roller coaster of events that have been happening this week. We spoke about it in the previous episode, and yeah, I guess right now we're just gonna touch on new developments that have been breaking out, from these initial stories. So today we're gonna expand more on Jadon Sancho. Of course, there's been more reports out there. A lot has been said. We're sort of getting to the resolution of all of this drama that happened after the Arsenal match. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into it. So
Yeah,
what's the
man.
latest, man? What's the latest on Jadon Sancho?
Okay, so the first thing that caught my eye, bro, was Sancho almost left United. So I don't know how the United fans feel about this, but it was very surprising to realize how he was almost gone. Now
Yeah.
I don't want to get my dates mixed up, but there was a Saudi team that wanted to sign Sancho, and
Okay.
United, in their attempts to kind of like wash their hands with Sancho, were actually willing to take a deal. Now the deal that they had offered the Saudi team was a loan move with an option to buy of 50 mil. Like
Yeah.
they wanted that option to buy to be there so that if he goes there and succeeds, these guys are like, yeah, we'll buy him so he can go. But
Yeah.
apparently these guys are like, nah, something is just
Yeah.
not right. And they actually ended up getting, I'm not sure if this is tied. I don't know if this is, no. It is El Tafiq, this team that is with Benzema or Kante, or the team that
Yeah.
has
Neymar.
this new John Terry is going to El Shabab because apparently they're
Okay.
looking for players.
Okay. So I think you're talking about the Steven Gerrard team.
I'm not sure which team it is because these Al all of them, they're just confusing. You just
Yeah.
need to tell
Yeah.
people. He was about to go to one Al something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that deal fell through. So I don't know what people think about this because I don't. When I was thinking about it, I was just like, oh really? Okay. Eh,
Yeah.
you know. eh, So yeah, man, like
Didn't do.
that surprised me, and it looks like I don't want to be the guy to say this, but I don't know why I feel this, but I almost feel like Jadon Sancho is almost done at United. Like I don't think
Yeah.
there's anything that's going to help his case right now because we keep
Yeah.
on talking about the fact that he still didn't bring down his post. He's still standing by what he said, and
Does the does the postal story currently stand?
apparently I haven't gone
Yeah.
into Twitter because I'm not on Twitter, but yeah, apparently it's still
Yeah.
there, and
Okay.
the team is fed up, man. So I don't know where all this is coming from. But I remember there was this one time. Now this is just going left a little bit. There was this one game. I don't know if you remember where Sancho kind of like put Bruno down when he was like, "Hey, Bruno, stop! Like, stop moaning" or something like that. So I don't know. Now I know this is just speculation, but when Bruno was coming down on Sancho was because Sancho didn't make a run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a run that he was supposed to make. And he was coming down on him, and Sancho was like, yo, Bruno, stop moaning. So
Yeah.
when everything, like when I started reading all these little tidbits things started coming into my mind, and I'm like, okay, wait. Are they trying to tell us like that these guys never really had a good relationship there at United?
Yeah.
Or is it just been like Sancho is in his own, like he's in his own world, like he's at United, but he's
Yeah.
not, like he's by himself, and that just
Yeah.
made me think like, oh, okay, this is been brewing, not been brewing, but it looks like it has been, you know building up for some time, and it has just
Yeah.
exploded. I mean, with these reports of the players saying, oh no, they're also fed up with him. I don't know how true that is. I don't think that those kind of guys that will throw their player under the bus. I don't think Rashi is like that. I don't
yeah,
want to believe that, but apparently that's how it is. And there are
yeah,
reporters, actually like proper reporters, doing interviews saying that this is the case that's happening at United right now. So man, I don't know, D. What do you have to say about all of this, man? What do you
yeah,
think? I
man.
know, I know, I know, I know.
You
Just
know,
hearing it at first glance, it sounds like trash news, and I get it.
yeah,
It almost sounds too easy to be true. But
yeah,
and because of the way the situation is going and how stories happen, people always try to dig in too deep and then try to dissect things that
yeah,
don't need dissecting. But
yeah.
yeah, man, these things are trending and it's hot topic right now. What do you think? What are your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, man. You know me, man. I don't really like to jump into like the politics of the players, Man United, and everything because, and like I said, in the previous episode that they just need to like nip this all in the bud because it's just creating a space for unnecessary speculations and like story after story and people taking different things that happen and creating a whole narrative out of it and everything is just brewing into its own fairy tale
Yeah.
and we're now starting to have and because we're bored we've got nothing to do and I'm not trying to take shots but we're listening to something and because no one is giving us feedback it allows us that space or that time for our minds to just wander into
Yeah.
like possibilities of things that could or couldn't even be happening.
True.
So like even with this Saudi deal, when you mentioned it, I actually remember that I heard from somewhere that Jadon Sancho actually denied going to Saudi Arabia because he believes that he's still young. He wants
Yeah.
to compete at the highest level, Champions League, etc. And he's not ready to go to the Saudi league because it just seems to be the league to go to when you retire. But there's
Mm.
nothing out there, in terms of accolades that young players are looking to achieve,
Yeah.
before they hit their 30s or their optimal prime, whatever. Check. So even with all these stories, I was listening to like stuff about him. Said no, he could be bipolar. Some days he's cheerful in the dressing room. Some days he's, keeping to himself and all of that nonsense. I'm like, look, I actually don't care. You know what I mean? I don't
Mm.
care. I just
Mm.
want like the truth. You know what I mean? I want to know what's going on. I don't want to sit here speculating and saying it could be this, it could be that. I remember this one time. But in all fairness, all those things, they do accumulate and build up to a solid case that you can present. Like you said, you remember all these little things that happen. All these little things are building up this case, that you can present to justify and validate your points that you're bringing across. So
Mm.
with this whole data central thing, I've honestly like kept myself out of the loop on purpose. So every time I see any Jaden Sancho news and it doesn't look definitive, I just completely ignore it. Like I'm probably only gonna pay attention to the news when I get a notification from the Manu FC app to say, "Oh, we've released the first statement of Jaden Sancho" or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until they come up with something conclusive to like what's happening. But in regards to your question about what do I think, yeah, man, it's just one of those unfortunate things, you know. Um, I do think there's a player there. Um, like right now, because of everything that's happening at the club, like I think first and foremost, I'm more concerned about the lack of players that we have in the squad. Like we're losing players to stuff like this that's happening. We're losing players to injury, etc. So for me, that's my first and foremost concern is we're losing players. You understand what I mean? I understand the gravity of what's happening, and I don't condone what these players have done or whatever. But I'm just saying it's really coming at a high cost, and all this temporal stuff is temporal stuff. And it's there's a bigger picture out there, to be more concerned about. So with Jaden Sancho, what he did, like we said, was wrong. You know, um, I guess it now got that point where the club the manager, the dressing room, they've tried to give him as much help and support as possible. And like you said, they feel like they've done the most that they could do, and there's really nothing left for them to do, especially after what he did, because there could have still been some saving grace for him, as we did mention in the episode before. Like, just waited 24 hours, he could have been, playing after the international break. You understand?
Mm.
But instead, he decided to do what he did and has now dug himself into a deeper hole. So at the end of the day, we just have to respect the decision of the manager and the club. And if they decide that, they need to drop him and sell him or whatever, then I guess it is what it is. But, you know, personally, I think it's just an unfortunate loss on our end. And, that's life. We just have to deal with it and we move on. So I'm not sure when the Saudi transfer window ends. I don't know if it's ended. Then, of course, there's talks about the Turkish, you know what I mean? Is it the Turkish league that's the transfer window is still open? Honestly, I can't see United getting rid of him, you know, during whatever window is currently open. So at best, they probably just have to bench him, punish him, you know what I mean? Do whatever they need to do and wait until the next transfer window to get rid of him if there is really no way back for him.
I
So I
was
guess
I
that's
was I was actually going to ask you if you thought Sancho was actually worth all this trouble. Like, do you think it's cool if he goes, if he stays?
um, like I said, like I don't know, I don't have any context. You understand? I can sit here and say like he's worth the trouble based on what I'm being given to by the media, based on whatever information is allowed for me to receive. You
Yeah,
understand? In
yeah.
terms of what's happening in the back end, I don't know. And then we have that gray area of rumors and speculation, right? And
Mm.
it's that gray area which is fucked up. You understand? Because now that's the one that's painting a narrative of, of a player of, is he worth keeping, because of gray area, or is he not worth keeping because of said gray area? So it's that zone that's like will sway people across the fence, right? So there's no winners in this, situation. Because honestly, like I said, I see a player there. I think he's worth keeping, but someone can come and tell me that no, and then they give me context, and then I'm like, okay, I understand where they're coming from. See, so I don't want to base my answer off rumors that are coming from this gray area space of people speculating and saying, yeah, but apparently, you know,
Okay.
um,
Well, what
it,
about
it,
what about in a football sense, based on what he has contributed
yeah,
to the club?
on a, on a, on a football sense, obviously what is contributed to the club is not good enough. You understand? But we do know he can do more, you know. So on that end, I would rather we give him that chance to prove himself. I'm willing to give him one more season to prove himself before he leaves.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
What do you think? What do you think? Because, like, I know I said what do you think, and I'm continuing to talk
No, I
shit,
hear you.
but
Go, 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 go.
like, like I said, like, and we spoke about this in the other podcast episode. I'm like, it's I just don't get why, and I don't know. Maybe because United fans are just tired of giving players chances, but we've had a lot of players that have been in this club for a very long time, and either they didn't do what they were meant to do in the first two seasons, and then eventually started picking up, or the whole time that they spent at United, they didn't do what they were supposed to do, and we're still lenient with them for the long run. You understand? I mean, A.E. Pogba. Pogba, I can't remember the time when Pogba returned and he actually played a full season. Almost every single season was injured for at least half of it, you know? And
Yeah.
when you look at his numbers don't even back the player he was at Juventus, right? Same thing with Sancho. Sancho, his numbers don't back the player that he was at Dortmund. But Pogba, like, we kept him. We kept him and kept him for I don't know how many seasons, 6 seasons or whatever, before he left. People had that patience, knowing the type of player that he was. So with the Jadon Sancho, we know what type of player he is, right? And for me, like I said, it's just been 2 seasons. This is his third season, so I'm willing to give him the last season to prove himself. You know, but then If there's other stuff that's happening in the background that is like it's not worth it, that I don't know about, then fair enough. They're the ones who are gonna have the better opinion on that. But in my opinion, is worth keeping. What do you think?
Um, honestly, with Sancho, I don't mind parting ways with him purely in the sense that, like, you know what? As fans, we are seeing what we are seeing. The reports that we are getting are the things that distract people, but we are seeing what we are seeing. We saw Sancho struggle ever since he came into the club. It's not a lie or anything like that. We saw it. We saw him go off and have his time, like that time to be by himself and do his thing. Mental health is something. It's a journey. It's a continuous thing. It's something that you. It's a recurring thing. I and this might sound harsh, and I know this might sound harsh, but check this out. Manchester United is big. It's way too big. Sir Alex Ferguson has said, and I'll keep repeating, that every player that comes to United needs to know that their expectations, right? The huge expectations of, like, every player needs to come and step up. And now I know it looks like I'm singling him out alone, but then you mentioned that we've been having this tradition where we are being lenient on players, right? Like, they're
Yeah,
staying and they're not even giving us all these things. What if Eric Ten Hag is the guy that stops that curse, or breaks that trend of players
yeah.
that are being lenient, that we're giving them
What being
lenience
mental
before
health?
whatever
Yeah,
issue that they're going through? Because now we are looking at it, you look at it in a professional, like, if we're not trying to be professional and always trying to get the best out of every player, like, there are a lot of players in our squad that needs to be uprooted and to bring in new players too. And Sancho, unfortunately for me, I know what he's capable of doing. Like, we've seen it it was the same thing with Pogba. Like, like you said, we know exactly what he's capable of doing when it comes to football. That is without a doubt. That is without. Uh, but then, with everything that is going on right now, before he went through problems without us, like without the club being involved, just his own personal things. That was serious. You know what I mean? That took a very long time
yeah.
for him to actually get back to himself. Now we're dealing with this where he's involved with the entire Manchester United club. I don't know. Maybe call me pessimistic or whatever. I just don't see him come back from this. However, I like what you said when you're like, you are willing to give him his last season. I am too. I am just worried already. I'm just worried for him because of how everything has started. I don't know if he's going to be given the opportunity for him to redeem himself. I don't know when he does get that opportunity to redeem himself. Is he going to do it? Like, there's going to be so much scrutiny on Sancho. Like, he has opened himself up with what he has done. And it's unfortunate that if the way he has opened himself up like this, it means he needs to bring his CR7 back. Like, he needs to bring Dortmund Sancho back. If he doesn't, he's going to be nailed. And do you think
Yeah.
his mental health is going to be able to handle the pressure that's going to come with everything that's going to be brewing around him? I honestly do not think so. Now,
Is this sorry? It's
yeah,
just cut you off like real short. Is this
yeah,
mental health thing? Is it confirmed, or is this thing?
no,
Is this
no.
one of those things that's in the gray area that he has mental illness?
So here's the thing: the there was a story that came out that said that were questioning why United actually outed his mental health issues, struggles. They were like, did they have the right to actually do it? And in
Yeah.
essentially, by saying that, they're actually agreeing or saying that he had that, or not saying that he does. But then, come on, I'm not trying to really beat around the bush. I just want to tackle this thing straight head on. Something is wrong with Sancho. Let's take away this mental health issue. Something is wrong because we are not getting the Sancho that we bought. Something is wrong. So, apart from it being mental health, let's just put that aside. Let's ignore that so that we don't. assume that this is what's happening because we could be very, very wrong. But okay, we take that aside. His footballing, like his football life, since he's arrived at United, can he explain that? Can we get some sort of clarification about what's going on if we're going to take that thing out? You understand? So
Yeah,
with everything that is happening, with context, circumstances, everything, I just think whoever's willing to come and put in some cash for Sancho, like if they have the money and they want him, why not? Why not? I mean, I am an advocate for second chances. I am.
yeah,
But in Sancho's context, is it a second chance, if I may ask you? Like, how many, what chances this are we giving him as fans, considering everything and trying to eliminate that he might have mental health issues?
yeah. I think just to give clarification,
Yeah.
like with the central thing, I don't mind if he leaves or if he gets sold. But
Okay.
I think just to reiterate my point is that we don't have players at the moment. Is it a wise move for us to get rid of him now?
No.
You understand? Like
No.
we can get rid of him in January when everything's all well and
Yes.
good. You
Yes.
understand what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
But for,
Yes.
for me it's like I get what he did was wrong, but we don't have players because we don't
No,
know if
not
we're gonna
now.
get. We don't
Not
know
now.
if Anthony. We don't know what's happening with Anthony. Yes, we have Pelestri, but we can't expect Pelestri to play in that position the whole. You know what I mean? Until these players get back, because we don't know even when they're gonna get back. And with Ahmed injured as well, we can't start now rotating players again. Left to right, etc. So yeah, with the central thing, it's I'm also at like I've made my peace with it. He can leave, but at this time I'm like I need to bite the bullet and just be like, yeah, man,
D.
we don't have any players.
You know, there's
You
okay.
can leave in January.
Just there's something that you mentioned that I've been having an issue with. Not what you said, but in
Yeah,
like, um, you know why I've been advocating for Facundo and everything like that, because
yeah,
United, for me, in my eyes, it happens to be the only club that doesn't really encourage youngsters. Like now, you mentioned something about we can't let Facundo take over and play the whole season. But there are other clubs
yeah,
that let these youngsters do that. Jude Bellingham has been doing it. I'm not saying that he's Jude Bellingham. You know what I mean? But you
yeah,
understand,
yeah.
how is the kid going
I
to
get
grow?
that.
Yeah. So and then these same youngsters, we want to loan them out to other Premier League teams so they can get game time. First team, like they should go and start. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Does
I get you.
like why? What's the whole point of having these players if we're not going to play them? And then we want to send them out somewhere so that they can go and play because you want to accommodate people that you like, the players that you've brought in. I get that. I totally do. But
You know,
you look at City, you look at maybe Liverpool with that Harvey Elliott. There are some clubs, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Musiala. These young
yeah,
players that have just been
yeah,
left up like, hey, listen, just do your thing, just do your thing, and then we'll
yeah.
nurture you or something like that. I don't know why, as a club, we don't encourage that. We're always
You
thinking to
know,
offload these youngsters and then bring in these players who don't put a shift in, which, hey, boggles
you
me.
know, you know what? I 100% agree with you, and I think the reason why we don't do it is because when you look at these other clubs, the structure of their club is well more set up than Man United, right? And these same players that you're talking about, they're not they like where the team is not reliant on them.
Yeah,
That's why it's easy for them to be like, Musiala, go do your thing. You understand what I mean? Elliot, go do your thing. Etc., etc. Jude, go do your thing. Is because the team itself is playing well with or without them. So it's not a risk to say, we're going to pay you for 90 minutes, go do your thing.
okay.
At Man
Yeah, yeah.
United,
Oh
we are
yeah.
not playing good football.
Yeah,
And a
okay.
lot of the time, looking at these young players, we're expecting them to be the hero. We're expecting them to shoulder, you know what I mean, the nonsense of the club and to say, go and save us. You understand what I mean? We don't have a striker. Rasmus, go and save us. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I think it's not that we don't want to like play the youngsters. It's just the circumstances in which the youngsters are coming in. They're coming in as like saviors, Ganacho, come and save this. No, it shouldn't be like that. This team should be doing fine with or without them. They're just coming in to complement, grow, and do their thing without any pressure.
All right. Nah, man, I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you. I hear you. But yeah, man, with Sancho, man, I don't know. I don't see a bright future for him at United. I don't know why. I would love to be proved wrong. I would love for him to turn this whole thing around.
yeah,
There's nothing as amazing as a redemption story, man. There's a
true.
comeback story. This what happened. He came back. Like I'm rooting for Greenwood. Those kind of things.
Yeah,
So with
I
Sancho,
agree.
I really wish that he can turn this around and then go on beast mode, like Super Saiyan Sancho. Like come in there
Yeah,
and then just start, just do your thing and like
yeah,
prove to everybody that your post was like you meant it. Like back it up. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Because if you're not going to go and do that, ah, this is a
yeah.
Kilimanjaro you're about to climb, my friend.
Hundred
Kilimanjaro.
percent.
It's going to be hard. So yeah, man, that's all on Sancho.
All right. Cool. All right. Yeah. Thanks, guys, for listening. And do you have any last remarks before we close it off?
No, I mean this was a part one to an episode because we're going to jump on to Anthony very very soon. So yeah, man, they should look out for that one.
All right. Then we'll catch you guys in the next part.
Yeah,
Peace.
peace.